Hi there, it's Audrey from Fire and Fiber. I wanted to do a quick demonstration on how to graft the toe of your sock, or as some still call it, the Kitchener stitch. I won't get into why the name has changed, but it has in some circles. So I am just finishing up a men's banana sock, and I do have a pattern for this sock coming soon, but I have decreased my stitches on my toe from 72 down to 28, so 14 on each side. I've just switched over to 2 needles. I had 3 going, and I'm using a bright green plastic darning needle. I wouldn't typically use this needle, but I wanted something very light and in contrast to the yarn that I'm currently using. I also do apologize for the shadow. It is winter here in Ontario, and so even though it's the afternoon, it's already really dark out, and so I've had to use quite a bit of extra lighting. So the grafting stitch isn't just something that you'll use for socks. It is something that you will likely use in other projects. I've used it to finish up the armpit on a sweater before, and it really is a technique that seems intimidating, but once you get the hang of it, it really can take your knitting to a new level in terms of how your finished items look. So I use a little mnemonic, like a little phrase I repeat to myself, or a song or a rhyme or whatever you want to call it, to remember how I'm doing my stitches, because you will do the same thing all the way across until you get to the last 2 stitches. And so that mnemonic is knit off, purl on, wrap, purl off, knit on, wrap. And so we're just going to get started. I do have the same number of stitches on each side. I'm going to take my darning needle and I'm going to go through my first stitch knitwise, and we are going to slide that stitch off and pull my yarn through. So that is my knit off. And then I'm going to go back in on the same first needle and I'm going to go purlwise through my stitch, wrap it around. See how I've pulled it? And then we're going to turn our work to the back. Now I am going to go with my needle purlwise into my first stitch and slide it off. So that's the purl off part of my little rhyme. And then for the second stitch, I am going to go through knitwise, and this stitch is going to stay on my needles. So purl off, knit on. Oops, I got a little bit stuck right there. And then I'm going to pull. And then we're going to go back around again. I'm keeping my yarn in front here, not in between my needles. Okay, so after you've done step 1 and 2, each time you should be losing or decreasing or binding off 2 stitches, 1 on each side. So the number of stitches on your needles should remain the same. If it's not, you need to go back and check what you're doing. And so it does get a little bit more fiddly as we get down to the last 2 stitches or so on each side. This is where paying attention is really important. This is not something that I would recommend picking up and putting down. You need to sit and do it all at once. So once we're down to our last 2 stitches, we're going to do this on each side. We're going to do the same as normal until we have 1 stitch on each needle. This is also hard because I'm a lefty and I switch to my right hand. But anyways, I've seen some other tutorials where people have started with like a step or a setup stitch or row. I haven't found that necessary. There is like a little bit of a loop here if you're really looking, but I don't particularly care. Okay, so we are down to our last 2 stitches, 1 on each loop. I'm going to do the first step of each side to finish us off. So that means we're going to pass this off knitways or knitwise. And then on the very, very last stitch, we're going to, with our yarn wrapped, see how it's in front of my loop technically, and then we're going to go through purlwise, pull our needle out, and then we are going to stitch it up. So like I said, there is a bit of extra yarn there that I will go back in and catch when I sew up my toe and weave in my ends, but that is that's it. It's not nearly as scary or intimidating as I think the internet can make it seem, especially when you're looking up tutorials and trying to figure out what makes sense for you. But yeah, that is how to graft a toe on a knitted item. I hope you found this helpful. Please like and subscribe and have a great day.